Yeah, next week. Oh, yeah, next week we
That's where the fun begins.
get to play our friends down in Columbus, Ohio State. Willie,
Yeah, I mean, it's
Where do we go here?
what you know what. Obviously, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you we can win. We're going to win. They've had our number. I mean, you talk about Maryland having our number. Ohio State's had our number for the better part of 5 years.
Literally 10 years. They have not won since we were in school.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the last few games really haven't been close. I mean, we're talking about over by the end of the first quarter type losses.
Yep.
One thing I'll say, this Ohio State team, from the coach to the team in general, has a lot of pressure. I mean, a lot of people are picking them to win the national championship. They chased out a pretty strong quarterback to recruit. We're bringing a quarterback that is okay. I mean, Will Howard, that's who it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. And I think that, Ryan Day and that staff probably will make it work with him. But that staff and that team in general just has a lot of pressure on them. And this could be a slip-up chance. Having said that, I think this will be a loss. I just hope that it can be a game in the third quarter. Let's lose by 14 instead of like 50.
Yeah, I don't want to be leaving wherever I'm watching it at halftime or watching Nicky pour beer on his head at halftime. Anyway, and they brought in Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator now too. Right. So that's going to be interesting, especially with their running backs they got. I mean, Henderson himself is already good, and then you bring in Judkins from the SEC, who all SEC running back. I mean, they're loaded once again, and it's going to be very, very difficult for us to do anything. So hopefully we keep. I mean, Howard's there. They got two receivers back. They got those running backs. They got the tight end.
Brought in Caleb Downs.
Yeah, they brought in Caleb Downs. They got 4 other starters back on defense at least. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about right. Going through key players and stuff. I practically wrote down the entire roster. It's there's a reason they're number 2, and there's a reason that all that pressure is on them to win the championship. And you don't have to go any further than just looking through their roster and their depth chart. They've got guys, second and third stringers that would have been starters for us probably. Yeah. So,
yeah, let's just say it how it is. This Ohio State team is built to fuck. And we are just not.
No, that's not. It's not going to be close.
Look, I do think this will be a game that we will watch the entire. We will be able to watch the entire game without wanting to die. And that's progress.
That's right. Progress.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they lose by 14, I think you give Smith a contract extension.
If we cover, I mean, that is nice. Next off in our little trail of horrors is at Oregon in Eugene. Willie, if you want to give us your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a loss too. I look at this game as very similar to Ohio State. Oregon is another team that is coming in with a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, but they have the talent to warrant that. Again, new quarterback, probably a Heisman favorite. Dylan Gabriel. I mean, obviously we know what he did at Oklahoma last year. Very impressive, very athletic. Is going to cause problems for every defense they play. So, I don't even want to know what's going to do to that Michigan State defense. If that defensive line can't get pressure on him, that defensive backfield doesn't hold up, they're going to have a field day. Austin, very tough place to play as well, especially coming off a really tough game against Ohio State, which I really think that this is why the first 4 games are so important because, these next 4 games, there's no let up. And I really don't have much else to say. This is probably going to be a pretty tough Saturday for us.
It's a Friday.
Honesty.
How dare you?
I think potential to. Oh, well, that's an even bigger problem for me. But we'll save that for another show. I think this loss has the potential to be worse than Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree. I think going into the season, I'm higher on Oregon than I am on Ohio State. So, I mean, they've got the more mobile quarterback out of the two. They got dynamic. I mean, they were there in the thick of it last year. And I mean, you bring in our track record against teams on the West Coast on true road games. I'm pretty sure the last time we won was 1959, if I remember that correctly. So it could get ugly. Gabriel's good. They're stacked at receiver. I mean, they had the 1,000-yard receiver in Tez Johnson last year. Then they also have Trayshawn Holden as Bama transfer, and then they bring in Evan Stewart, who was one of the top recruits in the country. Didn't quite live up to expectations at A&M, but I think that was mostly the way the coaching staff was and how A&M just kind of fell off the past couple of years. I mean, those three receivers catching the ball from Dylan Gabriel is just unfair, and you don't even talk about the running backs or the offensive line or the defense at that point.
So that's a loss, I'm guessing.
Yes.
There's a man named Jonathan Smith. He used to coach Oregon State. He used to play at Oregon State. He's a West Coast kind of guy. He's very comfortable in that area. We have a quarterback from the West Coast, up-and-coming guy, Aiden Childs. You know what? They both really don't like Oregon. They really both don't like Oregon. Some people have called Jonathan Smith the duck killer, a duck hunter. And, Oregon plays Ohio State the next week. And they might just think we're a little bloop on the radar.
Might be looking ahead.
Nice.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because
I think the Spartans are going to win that game.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Leave it to Nikki to make the crazy pick.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I did not even think about that connection. I mean, obviously, there is a little chip on the shoulder there, probably both for Childs and Jonathan Smith. So that's certainly something to think about. It's kind of a bummer. Like when I think about this game, I think back to those 2013, 2014 games that we had with them. And those were just so big and monumental and exciting. I really hope this one lives up to that. Just because those games just, I feel like the one we lost, the one we won, it was like the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. And I love those games. I love when everything's on the line and it's a big game like that. So hopefully, maybe you're right, Nikki. I'm still going to project a loss, but that's an interesting angle that I didn't think about.
Yes. So next week we have a bye. We will be just chilling. It's a great slate that week. That'll be fun. But then we're off to Iowa. I think that one is at home, correct?
That is at home. Yes.
So that is Iowa at home. Coming off a bye. What are you thinking, Willie?
Yeah, I mean that bye is going to be big. This is a game I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Iowa. Obviously offensively they've just been a disaster over the past couple of years. New OC for them. I don't know who the starting quarterback is. If it's the guy that played us in the second half last year, I think
it's Cade McNamara.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think even less of him than I do the other guy. So I think of this, as one of the few, as we get kind of into the meat of the season here, there's a couple of games that I flagged as revenge games. It's kind of a revenge game for me. I really think they should have won that Iowa game last year.
Agreed.
I think there were the players that are returning from that team got to kind of come in with a little attitude in this one. That really is a game that they should have won, and it would have been a nice win to have last year. 5-7 is not that different from 4-8, but a win at Kinnick I think would have changed our feelings at least a little bit. They let that one slip away. I think the team that has the more talent is MSU. But I think the better all around football team from top to bottom in terms of special teams, defense, and offense is probably Iowa. But sometimes the talent can outplay that. So this is one I'm going to project a loss, but I definitely think a winnable game for sure.
Yeah, I think the difference last year was, well, first off, there's no Cooper DeJean to bail them out this time.
Right.
And then also the terrible quarterback play. I mean, we had countless drives. We didn't score an offensive touchdown in that game, but we had plenty of drives into their territory that we didn't finish off.
Turnovers.
So hopefully, yep. So hopefully, and we had to rely on Jonathan Kim knocking down 54, 55 yarders,
Yeah.
So that alone, I mean, the stability with Aiden Childs at quarterback should help a little bit. We don't know yet what we're getting from the outside playmakers. I mean, I'm sure we had a little sense of it last year, but so it's a new season. So I still think it's not going to quite be enough. I still see a loss here just because Iowa's defense is that good year in and year out. But it, like you said, it's winnable. I don't think this is the year that we pull it out.
Nice to be at home. I think that at Kinnick is always really tough. So I think if there's any reasons to look for a win here, I think being at home helps a lot too.
Well, and then on the opposite side of that, there's the positivity of how well we played them at Kinnick last year in those circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys sure you guys want losses? You still have time to change. I'm also going to say a loss just because, again, Iowa's famous for their defense. They have a smothering defense always. They're consistent. I mean, it's the same team every year. Brian Fernandez is doing it for since we've been born, basically. He could just be a lot for a young QB, just a young team in general, not that experienced. After the obvious emotional win at Oregon, put that one down for now, for me. And next week will be
week, baby,
against
them. Willie, start us out.
The cheaters.
Yeah, I mean, this is always a big one. I think this rivalry means a lot for everybody. Obviously, Spartan fans across the world. You always think that throw the records out the door, out the window, however you want to say it. It certainly hasn't been the case the past 2 years. I think, again, on the road, just after such a tough stretch of football, it's going to be hard for the Spartans to pull this one out. Interesting to see how Coach John Smith handles the first taste of this rivalry. Really, same with Aiden Childs and a lot of the guys on the team. I feel like we're a couple years away from having like that chip on our shoulder type deal that we had with D'Antonio, but I do feel like Coach Smith is kind of that type of cut from that same cloth. I don't think this is the year that his success will start. Unfortunately, I think it's just too tall of an order being on the road at the big house. One thing I'll say, Michigan, lots of question marks. I think that a lot of people are down on them. I don't think that that's a team that's going to go 5-7. I think probably more like 9-3. But big question mark at the quarterback position. I mean, this guy Orji that we've heard all about. Of course, it sounds like he's not that good. He's only attempted one pass in his career. So there's a battle at quarterback between him, Davis Warren. I guess Jack Tuttle was in it, but now it sounds like he's not no longer really in consideration. So I mean, they're new coach for them as well, albeit he was on staff last year. But certainly some question marks. They lost a lot. We'll see kind of what they've got going on, but could be one of those surprise wins. That would be amazing. But I'm gonna throw down for an L here.
Yeah, great points there. I have a lot of questions with them everywhere except for running back and on their defense. So I think Michigan's incredibly overrated right now. I think they're due for a step back. We probably not going to be a great team this year. They're probably still the better team if we're being honest. But Nikki asked me a couple months ago on the show if we were going to beat Michigan, and I'm going to double down on my answer, surprisingly. And yes, I'm going to pull this one out.
Hell yeah!
I like
just
it.
Bring it up. Yeah, bold. Yeah. I didn't know I was going to do that till you started talking. So,
hell yeah!
But yeah, just set the tone of the rivalry for Johnny Smith there, and I think we could be a couple years away, sure, but they're incredibly more beatable than they have been in the past few years. So why not take advantage of it?
Sure. I like it.
Yeah. Willie, I mean, come on. Let's just get the record straight here. We have we have Sharon Moore's first year as a head coach.
God, I hate that guy.
Crying Johnny, as we call him.
Their
schedule is hard. I mean, we have a tough stretch of football, but they have Washington, USC, Texas. Like, they're going to be beaten. Alex Orji.
No faith in Orji.
I'm
with you there.
Leave it there. Alex Orji just probably won't be great. I think their O-line's pretty much all new. I'm sure they'll still be good because they have a lot of experience as backup. Still going to be a great O-line. Their defense is legit. I mean, Will Johnson, they're going to be great. But, I mean, what's something I was going to say? Oh, first of all, when he said you had an answer about Donovan Edwards, the answer is like, yeah, I don't know if he's that good. Like, he's good for a couple of big plays, but
I'm not saying he's the Heisman Trophy winner or anything. He's just obviously their top running back. And yeah, he's shown skill when he's healthy. They also have one other guy returning behind him that played pretty well last year too. So it's more that's the key question. It's more of I've seen this before when compared to like you haven't seen the other guys see the field.
Fair. I also think on the road at the big house is not that big a deal. I mean, it's a freaking library. Like
it's the library
country club.
I mean, as many Spartan fans that want to come in can get in. Like there's always a big Spartan presence there. Like,
yeah. And
it's just a great way, again, with that little brother Jonathan Smith chip on your shoulder dynamic that he just kind of was bred with. I just think it's just there's one game that's circled on the calendar every year. For Michigan, it's just not us, unfortunately. But for us, we're going to be giving everything we got.
This one.
And if we beat Michigan, it's going to be a good season. And it's going to be a good season. So we're going to beat Michigan.
I agree. I'm with you. Everything you're saying is not wrong. I really, what I think about this team is they could go 6-6, but I think it's going to be a 6-6 where they pull out a win. Whether like one of these 4 games, they might just go. They could win, right? I'm not going to pick them to win any of these 4 games. I just think it's too hard, too tough a stretch of football. Too many question marks with the team, but I do think that it's a team that could absolutely surprise in some of these games. Where last year just no show in these big games. I think there's a lot of talent, and I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing and hearing. So I'm not totally. I don't think you guys are going that crazy with this pick. I'm with you. The big house, not the toughest place to play. Lots of question marks for this Michigan team. So I hope you guys are right.
I got a quick question for you.
Please.
Do you think Aiden Childs is bitch made?
No,
you don't think
absolutely not.
You don't think he can go into the big house, give Will Johnson a quick knuckle sandwich and say, "This is my house"?
Look, Aiden Childs, I have all the faith in the world in Aiden Childs.
This is my
absolutely.
house, motherfucker.
No questions asked. Just keep him alive.
Yes,
against Ohio State, Iowa, and Oregon, and we got a chance.
You don't think Touchdown Tommy could do a quick little, Aiden might be out for a game. He's a mobile guy. Touchdown comes in, does a little quick 4 touchdown game. I got the fan fiction written. I
love it.
I can elaborate on that later in the season.
I can't wait to hear it.
We're going to need to hear some of those stories on the air, I think.
But next week, the week following, and also one last thing with Michigan. No Connor Stallions. Hello.
True.
But I mean, I don't know. Ward could bring him back. I mean,
in a heartbeat. Yeah.